simple. It's just identifying that there are risks in every opportunity. So whatever business, whatever growth strategy, whatever new product line or service, there's risk there. And if we don't identify any risk.
How's everybody doing right now? How's your energy? How's your week going? Pretty good. I think I/we would really love to hear quick from everybody, just because Patty and Zach do. So intro. So maybe, who are you? Where do you go to church? What business or career, orientation do you have right now? And maybe what drew you to, you don't have to remember all those questions. Just give us a quick intro. However you want to do it's fine. So Patty first.
Okay, well, I go to Gateway South Lake campus, and I was at the event last week, which was just blew my socks off. It was great. And many quotes I wrote down from John Maxwell. But I just recently sold my ownership in Ruby Care, which was a senior living placement company. So that happened this past first quarter. And I just recently started a move in and move out cleaning company. So it's residential and commercial. And it is, it's called startclean.com. And we're giving money back to 3 different segments of people. So that's really where my heart is. And it's hopefully going to be a legacy business.
So you like to services and grow.
I know. I mean, this is brand new territory for me. So it's kind of exciting, but also challenging.
Are you doing some of the work as well as being the owner? Okay.
No.
Okay. So you help to do the actual cleaning part.
Yes.
Okay.
And went to Gateway through most of high school, and then at some point my family decided to switch to a different church, mainly because they had moved from the NRH campus. Then what ended up happening was when I got married to my wife, Amy, we started going with her family to the North Fourth campus because that's where her parents go. And so we decided to go to church with them. What ended up happening was I guess two, because I attend, but also attend another church that's near us. That's a much smaller church called Crossroads at Arlington. It's not this, but this is a church, and you like to volunteer there and help out around there. And so that's kind of my church situation right now. In regards to what I do business-wise, I'm mostly found in like finance. So I have I have my business, which is Key Wealth Solutions. And so basically what I'm focused in is insurance and tax and investment solutions for people. And I have my insurance license as well as my Series 65, so I can sell securities. And so that's kind of where I mostly delve in. I also work with my dad, who is an entrepreneur, so he doesn't really stick to one thing. He's got a lot of different things going on, but I'd say his main thing is we call alternative office solutions. We basically just outfit people with either portals or document processing needs. So that's where I'm at now.
I hear that, or am I doing something?
It's not you.
Me? Okay, I wasn't sure if it was okay. I'm a registered, and years ago, I want to say maybe 11 years ago, I started making toothpaste for my daughter. She needed toothpaste. That's a long story. But then during COVID, I lost my job at Hulu's job at people that you had elective surgery couldn't have because of COVID. I was off for 11 months. February, and now I'd like to launch my toothpaste. So I've been doing a lot of work. I was hoping to launch in May, but I think it's going to be June now. Just finishing some, stuff. Eventually, I'd like to get y'all's email or mailing address. I can mail you a sample. I'd love. So I don't know how we can do that. Maybe through an email, a general email. I'd love to do. Interested in trying my toothpaste. Yeah, in this group. Learning, I take notes every time I'm here. And I really apply what you guys say, and I pray about a lot of the stuff that you guys say. I pray and have the Lord, direct my path. But yeah, I need all the help I can get. I'm not a business person. This is as close to a business class that I've ever taken. Anyway, hi.
That's awesome. That's great.
Leslie, my husband's a dentist, so I definitely would be interested in seeing your toothpaste.
I love, sorry, yeah, I'm not on mute. I would love to send it. So let me tell you, it's my dentist that I've been seeing. He's in Colleyville that I've been seeing over 20 years. Leslie, I cannot sell it here. And I'm like, why, Dr. Ellis? And he said, because you will literally run out of business. That's what he said.
Wow.
But I'm curious. I already gave it to another dentist in another state, and she got so excited. But yeah, I'd love to.
Good.
Okay.
It's a good money.
I'm in Colleyville, so.
Randy, give us a little, we appreciate that.
Okay, I've been attending Gateway since last fall at Richland Hills, but I did in January at South Lake. And ministry, primarily evangelism, but I think one day God's gonna open door, and perhaps I won't have to work a secular job or any job. I'll be able to just follow my dream, of ministry and do that full time. So that's what I'm looking for, and this group is really helping. So I really appreciate all that y'all do to put it together for us.
That's very encouraging. Love doing it. Well, Jordan, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Jordan. As Brian said, I've been assisting with following his lead mainly in this group. I'm an entrepreneur, business owner, nonprofit founder. So, and I'm so glad to see all the new faces.
Right.
So.
It's really it's such a neat group. It's funny because we have kind of like this extended family, and people will be able to in a week or two, and then we won't see them for a few weeks sometimes. So it's just this neat little family that we've got. So yeah, I am actually Leslie, my journey. Actually, Randy, I don't know, did I was job search when I met you still? Okay, maybe I just landed. Okay. Yeah, so I was actually laid off due to COVID, just like Leslie was, and I was off for 8.5 months. But I just landed as a sales director at a software company. It's kind of my space is software. This particular company is cybersecurity related, but I started on February 9th, and I'm thankful at or for all the lessons that I learned during that time off. It was really, really, really hard, but also just the seeking of the Lord and hearing from him. You know, he wouldn't let me go more than just a few days to where I would hear something. So, I mean, I'm going to be mining that journal gold for years. I think spoke to me just in regard to that. I'll throw this to you guys. So I haven't told Jordan this one yet, but we have a huge quota for this quarter as a company, a huge goal that I'm supposed to be hitting for my region. And we just don't have enough pipeline. And I can't invent it, you know, we're working, but we could always do better. But there's just not enough pipeline to hit that number. And so I sit in there just kind of like doing something in the kitchen. I don't know what I was doing. I was in the kitchen and Lord interrupted my thoughts and he goes, do you remember how you were insisting during the job search that I tell you, are you going to get me a job? Because I was just hammering him because I believe praying very, very insistently. Like you don't pray and wonder, you pray and wait. That's it. And so I was praying with that level. Plus, as I wasn't the only breadwinner, I was the bigger breadwinner, and I have 2 kids in school. It's a long story. And so I was just praying with that real desperation and intentionality and reliance. And eventually, they were just telling me that he would get me a job. You know, and I was like, okay, please have a job. Thank you. And then I started, you know, for specifics, tell me what it is, tell me I'm going to start. And he refused to tell me the thing about those. He did tell me that person that he would give me a job, but he didn't tell me what it was going to be or when, in spite of my demands. And I'm pretty demanding to him. And you know, not in a rude way, but I just mean fairly forceful about it. And so today I'm over there in the kitchen, and he was like, kind of interrupting my thoughts, that you need to demand me what's happened with my pipeline. You need to share, you need to bring me pipeline, or show me how to get pipeline, or just ask me, am I going to bring you pipeline? And so I've never done that before in business. I've prayed for leads before. I've prayed for business before. I've prayed that a deal would close before. I'm at the edge of desperation. You're my source in business, and you will provide for me. You led me to this company. I don't have enough pipeline. I don't, and I can't really need to have a job. So your help. You know. So that's he's me. It was weird. Like that's sure you want to inflict yourself with that, but that's really my story and kind of the little bit of wrap trail. I'm sharing my screen really quick tonight and talk about the Apple topic, which is listening before a customer is engaged. And so there are, you know, listening in general is a really important topic. There's a lot of scriptures on this. I had one in here, James 1:19. Dear brother, like this, everyone should be quick, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So it's kind of a famous one. But if you look at just doing a web search, how many talk about listening, I'll just, you know, read a couple to you really quick. You know, making attentive to understanding, in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. Just a lot of stuff, more than I thought, honestly. Listen to advice and accept instruction that you may gain wisdom in the future. So pretty useful. Anybody have any specific scriptures that you want to share? I can look it up really quick on listening before we kind of do our discussion. There's another one. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice. So, you know, maybe I'll copy that one in there too. I don't know what just happened. I did not vote for anything. Apparently I just voted for something. I don't know what that was about, but I'll copy that into our notes here. I think that would be good. But yeah, we kind of have these 4 points to talk through. And if you haven't been with us before, everybody basically gets an opportunity to talk about every single topic. So we don't do kind of like a sermon. It's more of a discussion on every single point. And it's perfectly relevant to talk about your specific situation or struggle. I think I would encourage you guys to be surprisingly transparent, because I've had times where I've been in tears before and people would tell me offline later, you don't know how much your transparency helped me. So I think I would encourage you guys to be transparent, even though this is about business and career. It's really also about our lives, and it's about how to engage not just our customers or our business, but also to engage the Lord in our business. So, Jordan, can you tee us up for this discussion?
Tee us up for listening.
Yeah, just cover it up, what title, and kind of, maybe start us off with the why.
Yeah. Really what Howie and I have been discussing for the past couple of weeks is increasing our capacity to listen. How early can we listen in the customer engagement process? How soon can I start capturing feedback? And then also how late, how far, I've lost a customer, I've lost an account, how far down can I continue to listen and capture, a great feedback? And so really what we started focusing on is the before a customer is even my customer. Because I think we all, I'll speak for all of us, but I think we all do a poor job of listening in general. But, I know that, whenever I'm self-reflecting, I do a poor job of listening early. And so how can I start listening early on to discover problems, meaning customer issues, but then also how can I discover my business issues or things that are going wrong? Customers are looking for this. I don't even offer that, but so, okay, now I need to start getting these ideas and these services in line so that I can be competitive in the marketplace before I even start reaching out and cold calling, before I even offering services or engaging. And so the why for listening is just to be more competitive, to save resources, to be more valuable product service idea. And so that's where we're going to start off today.
Awesome. Who would like to kind of dive in first and talk a little bit about this first question? Take any volunteers here, but who would like to dive in and say, why would we want to listen before that prospect or that customer is even engaged? Seems kind of early. Like they're not even talking to me, like they're not even engaged. How and why do you listen before you even have a customer you're dealing with?
I would like to say something.
Yeah.
So one of the things when we started Ruby Care, I had a business partner and we called a whole bunch of people that did what we did in other states. And we talked to them and they were very open to speaking with us, sharing documents. We kind of asked them a couple of questions like, if you started your company today, what would you do differently? What would you do the same? What are some lessons you learned? And that was really, we were trying to listen before we even got seniors to place, before we even started trying to find our first client as senior living community. So I kind of started that with Start Clean. I started calling other companies in other states to pick their brains, same kind of thing. And I was looking specifically for Christian companies and privately owned and maybe folks who gave a portion of their profit to the community, things like that. And I've probably called, at least 10 to 20 so far. And I haven't even gotten one return phone call or email or text. And so it's been really discouraging because where it was such a win with my other company, it's been a total failure with this. And so I, have reached out to a couple people I've met through the Colleyville Chamber who do my job, have the same kind of company. And one is really willing to talk with me and one is really not willing to talk with me. So it's just very interesting. I'm more of a collaborator person than a competitor person. And I'm sure that's part of it, but I would love some tips on that, just because I think that part of listening is, for me, it's learning where others have gone before me and learning from their mistakes and kind of helping me, but then I can help others as well.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, I think we will, yeah, we definitely want to hear anybody's about Patty's specific topic of, how can we get some feedback about business insights, help her avoid some mistakes. What are some sources? This is literally on topic. Look at what I highlighted. Why would we even want to listen before a prospective customer is engaged? She's literally she's actively doing this right now. It's like, I couldn't have planned it better. But how can we help her? How can we give her some ideas about getting that feedback, getting those insights from maybe its current business owners or it's some other source?
I just wanted to give her a little piece of encouragement because I heard this podcast about sales, and it was actually more about not giving up. And they were talking about sales in specific, and they said over 60% of the sales don't come until after like the fourth call.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you get that discouragement, but if you just keep doing it, you know what I mean, and keep calling and keep talking, and like he's saying, how does it help to talk early is, I don't know who's a sale. If you're just having a friendly conversation with people or just get to know people, you don't know who's going to be in your networking circle, and people just want community. And while you're talking with people in community, you're building network, and network builds sales. But really, I just wanted to encourage you to just don't quit.
It's good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a good word for sure. I have 3 or 4 very specific guys. I'm going to give them down here under what. So wait on mine, because I want to unpack more whys from the group right now. But yeah, definitely we have, Jordan and I talked about this, we have some ideas prepared for today. So yeah, so give me some more whys. Why would we even want to listen? Obviously, Patty's literally building her business on feedback, right? Which is one of the most one of me and Jordan's favorite topics is business feedback or employee feedback. Those are kind of equally weighted. But what are some other reasons why we want to listen to our customers before we even have kind of like customers that are engaged? For me, part of it is the validation aspect of it. I think maybe this is part of where Patty was going. But for me, it's the validation, right? So Leslie's been getting feedback from actual providers, actual dentists about the product, and funny backhanded compliments in the one case, putting them out of business, and positive. In some ways that's really positive, honestly. But the other one was even more willing to maybe partner up, and in some way. But I think that's a great reason, because it's product. So listening to customers before they're even engaged, before you go spend. I mean, I spent $125,000 on a business back in 2010 that failed because I didn't do a good enough job of listening before customer engaged. So right now, you have to find friendly and unfriendly audiences for that, or else you can make a big, huge mistake. And I learned a lot from it. It's okay. I can tell you from experience, you got to do this. You got to get some feedback.
I have a question.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt, but what if, okay, so someone tells me, oh gosh, no, I wouldn't want that. And I'm like, okay, because I don't know how to sell stuff. Do you just not approach them? I mean, obviously I'm not going to approach my dentist again. I see him. He loves seeing me, right? But what do you do when someone says, thank you, but no thank you? Like, do you just hang it up and go, okay, move on?
Well, it's
or
the why matters. Like in his case, the why is in some ways it would kind of compete, and so that's not a good reason for you to stop, because part of successful businesses is disruption, right? And so I think listening to listening to validate your business or whatever your, all your pre-customer engagement listening, part of the reason is so that you can unpack what are the objections, and that's not an objection. That's more of like, it's almost validation. So I think, but part of it is you're kind of surrounded by friends and family right now. I sense that from talking to you over the months, that a lot of your validation is from friendlies. And that's where a lot of mine was when I made a mistake. So it's not a warning, because I believe it's great, but also I haven't tried it. But I kind of just believe in you as a person and believe in some of the things that you said. But I think that you have listening. I think it's important. A lot of unfriendly listening. Like your mom's always, you're a star. And my mom and dad and everybody else was like, oh yeah, you should do that. It's going to be so great. And I've never used it. This particular service. And so I think, you get some advice or some people that don't know you to tell you that you're wrong.
You have to be really careful to not get defensive about honest from people or try to justify, like if somebody says, well, your packaging is, I'm just going to use, let's say your packaging is hard to work with, then you if you immediately start going like, yeah, but we use the best tools, we spend a lot of money, it's like you're not hearing the person. They're giving you honest feedback, and as soon as you give them the but, then you shut them down. They don't talk anymore, and so it's really hard. And it is my part-time assistant, she has a painting business, and we were talking about this very thing, and she has a very hard time hearing from people about her pet sitting business. And I said, you absolutely need to listen, because besides babies and pets, those trying to and we're gonna make mistakes. So, but it's hard, very hard to not be defensive.
Yeah, I can speak to that because I wanted to kind of branch out on my own a little bit. And I started an entertainment company. And basically the main basis was music. But the problem was I was trying to look at business from a finance standpoint. And basically I was treating the artists like they were investments, which in a way you can look at it that way, but that's not, you can't really do that with people. And so I wasn't doing very well. I ended up sinking like $100,000 into that, and it ended up not panning out. And I'm selling my business to my partner, and now it's been 5 months. And while I was running it, because I was a majority owner, I wasn't listening to really anybody. I wasn't listening to their feedback, and we were kind of in the red most of the time. But they turned their first green month 2 months ago, and now they seem to be doing phenomenal because my partner would treat the artists and listen to them a lot differently than I did, which that's a big learning curve that I've had. So something to think about.
Well, you're young. I mean, you have the ability to, now you at least know you're a founder, and you at least know that you have ideas that can be validated in the marketplace. So the soft skill stuff is things we can work on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's stuff that we can work on. Yep. for sure. Good. All right. Gosh, I'm so excited about number 2, Patty. I'm trying not to cheat here because 2 is a lot. There's a lot. But let's just make ourselves talk a little bit more about the why. Are you next, Jordan? Go next.
No. Let me, before you move to number 2, can I say number 1 too?
I want you to.
Okay. For me, why would I want to listen early? And it's kind of encapsulates something that Patty said and Leslie said and Randy said, but it's to clarify who my customer is. Sometimes you get feedback and you say, thank you. You're not my customer. You know, I appreciate your feedback, but you're not who I'm marketing to. So thank you that I didn't waste any time building a proposal, trying to market to you as my customer. I didn't waste any ad dollars. I didn't do any of that because you clarified that you're not my customer. Thank you. But I also can clarify, you know, this is my customer and this is what they want. And it's not something that I have yet, or it's not something that I'm, you know, have it as through on my talking point, but that's all they talk about. So I need to make it number 1. And, you know, I need to find out why it's number 1. Why is it so important to them? You know, these are all things that if I listen early, then it's just transforms exactly who my customer is. How can I engage them? Because then whenever that cold call comes, I think it was Patty, you said you're making some calls, you know, but if I can discover an issue they're having, say they went on Reddit or they went other places, I'm kind of teasing into number 2, and they made a comment about, does anybody else having this issue? Well, you call them on that issue. I'm not calling you about my product. I saw your post about something that you said, and I just want to talk to you about that. You know, I'm not calling you about anything that I have. I just want to, why is that such a big issue for you? Okay. And then maybe it transforms and they ask you, well, have something that you can handle for me. Well, quite frankly, it is, because this is what I do, you know, but now it's a different phone call because I'm calling to address your issue as opposed to, kick the door open. Does that make sense?
Well, it's definitely about learning their pain point. You know, what is their issue that you're trying to help them solve? And you can't really find that out without listening. And you might think that, they just want to save time. They want me to save time by going and cleaning out their house that they just moved out of. But really it's because, they've got an issue with leaving there really makes them sad. And there's a lot of emotional stuff there. So I'm alleviating that problem of, having to live through that pain by getting that clean for them. And I mean, that might've been something that I didn't even anticipate. And so thank you for saying that, Jordan. That does make me think about that. That what is the other thing that we're maybe solving for them?
Yeah, it's really, it's kind of, why would they want to talk to me? If I can listen and figure out why they would want to talk to me in advance, then whenever I'm trying to engage them, I'm answering that question for them up front,
Gosh, so good. Yeah, think about this. What Patty just said was so good. I mean, I could park on this for the rest of the time. But I love this area of, gathering feedback in order to define what the customer's pain is so critical. What's great about this too is that when Leslie starts gathering feedback about, just asking questions about people's, oral care and dental history, dental problems, things of that nature, and start to hear their pain points, then there's so much more empathy in her marketing and in her packaging and in her messaging. And also she becomes an educator. So Patty, as you go and you have those conversations and you start to, really start to compile kind of a punch list of, here's kind of the top like 7 or 8 or 10 pain points that I'm hearing about fairly consistently. And you start to see a pattern. Now what's great about when you have the pattern, now you're an educator. So you go to the next prospect, you go to the ABC trucking, and then you want to go to XYZ trucking. It's like, listen, I work with some trucking companies. I typically hear issues A, B, C, and D. Do any of those ring a bell? Oh yeah, we have those all the time. Well, let me ask you a question. Do you also have, EFGH issues? And then you become an educator and kind of an ally. And what's great about this too, and I think Leslie runs into this in the clinical setting a lot, when you start asking the questions, it kind of implies that you're sort of an expert. By the way, will you guys push back on this for me? If I, because it's kind of my theory, but I think it's the truth, and I really with y'all. So if I ask you guys a bunch of questions about a topic that's bothering you, does it seem like if I ask you questions about that, does it seem like maybe I might be a good source of information on that topic? I'm trying not to lead you. Patty, you're nodding. Can you just talk about that a second?
Well, I'm mostly relating to my previous life. Just, yeah, when you're asking, is this happening to you? Is this happening to you? And they're like, exactly, that just happened, and then they do say, yeah, you get it. Or like when I was in healthcare, I'm not a nurse, but I was in healthcare. I as a nurse because I could speak their language and I could identify pain points. So I think as long as you're not being arrogant about it, as long as you've entered the world, is true. But if you're coming at it from a sales, too salesy, and then I think it can be off-putting as well. So I think you have to, I've always been taught solution-based selling tactics, and so I like these things we're talking about.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's a neat topic for sure. I like this a lot, and I just wrote down that when you learn those pain points, it helps you become knowledgeable and an educator.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a pushy salesperson, now you're an educator.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an ally, so that's great.
But I think like people like
Leslie?
Randy,
Yeah,
nurses are super good at that because they have to, do one, teach one, and they teach others all the time. So they make some of the best salespeople because they can identify pain points and they can help navigate you through to what the solution is.
mm-hmm.
I was going to say that being relatable to them, there's I don't know if it's a magic that happens when you're relatable to the patient. They trust you, and bam, you can get their history. You can find out where the root cause was, what happened, but they have to trust you. But the only way for them to trust you is you have to be relatable in some way, shape, or form. And they like that. So you're absolutely right. You become a better teacher only because you have a better listener.
That's great. Yeah, that's good. It seems to me like those are such early allies for your business or for your career growth as well. If you treat people like you guys are talking about, can you imagine? You need to have anything else to cover on why we would even want to listen before a prospective customer is engaged? Anything else to cover on that? Cool. And you can always come back. I mean, it's just a discussion. Yeah. So I'm going to unhighlight this. And just go and the secret favor.
So Brian, do you
Cool.
share these notes with us after, or?
I do sometimes, and sometimes I don't, but I definitely need to. I think what I'll do is I'll just invite y'all to this. Now that it's in Google, I think I can just add y'all to it or make it an open document or something. But yeah, remind me. But yeah, I need to for sure.
Okay.
So what are some so obviously we want to try to listen to customers before engage. sometimes in the product development or product design or service design phase, super early, for all those wonderful reasons. But now we want to go do it. So now you're going to go execute. So put yourself in that mental frame right now. You're going to go seek out listening to these kind of like non-customers. So what are some sources? How can we get feedback from the market? Jordan, I'm going to call on you because you already mentioned Reddit. So unpack that in a minute.
Yeah, I think, finding an avenue where customers can complain openly is a great place to go seek information about industry, about products or services, maybe your competitor. You can go to Reddit and type, whatever your competitor's name is, hashtag your competitor's name, find out what people are saying, positive and negative, and see if it's a service you need to add, see if there's something that you can find pain points. Again, social media, I mean, there's a lot of, especially LinkedIn, you can find trend topics. You can see articles. If there's a potential customer that you want to land, go and see what they're posting about. See if they, because a lot of, brands on social will ask questions, and it's just a really good way to get in the door, get some feedback. So that's what I would do.
Love that so much.
You had a good one, Brian.
All right.
Our conversation earlier.
All right, I'll go then. So the other one that there's a lot of, I'm holding back. I do that a lot. There's some really great online sources of information, folks. We had a lot of fun in our prep actually talking about these, but one of them was Yelp. Right? If I'm Patty, I am absolutely checking out Yelp. I'm going to go to people, and I know that your business is a little unique, but it's not like there's people that, there's close enough businesses that you ought to be able to go read every single comment on Yelp and find out what makes them mad, what makes them happy, what is the differentiator that just really lit a fire for that particular, why they get a 5 stars. And so I think has a very online community to get feedback from.
I have something now for my assistant to do tomorrow.
I love it.
She's gonna read Yelp posts and call them their attention to me.
Beautiful. So we can share the notes there more relevant. Go read every single comment from or just or like this.
Do you like next for that well, or?
Yeah, so let's use that one. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, I use it for my neighborhood, but I know that when people are sometimes they'll say, hey, does anybody have a carpet cleaner in the area? And then people will start just listing all these names, or like on Facebook, Colleyville Moms or South Lake Moms or Grapevine Moms. Those are always a good one too, because somebody will put that out and people start writing those down like names so that I can go back and look them up, and like what you're saying, look at what their comments are to see why do they like that person so much, and that person's name has been mentioned 20 times now. I do that a lot for distance. My husband's a dentist. But,
oh really? That's cool. Yeah, I like that a lot as well. Another one, it just, I don't really need to go and have a separate line for this. Let's just say Google. We all know Google has reviews similar to Yelp. Probably Yelp has more volume, but Google's good for sure. it's the exact same play. We talked about Reddit, we talked about Yelp, we talked about Google, talked about Nextdoor. What are some other ways to kind of get, I'll give you one for Leslie. So from a toothpaste perspective, I bet you could right now go online to Amazon and go read, I mean, there's going to be 1,000, so you don't want to read 1,000 probably, but go read all the 1-star reviews of toothpaste from 1 or 2 products or whatever. Find out what people don't like, you know what I mean? And then maybe read the 5 stars and find out why they're glowing about that. And maybe go read Tom's toothpaste, which is more of a natural one, and find out, you know, what they like about that and things of that nature. So I would just say Amazon reviews.
My biggest thing for myself, and this might just pertain to myself, just because I'm in the investment realm of things. I mean, I guess where can I go to? Because I've checked out Reddit before, Jordan,
Yep.
and that's actually has gotten me some answers on some things, sure. But for me, there's sometimes where it's like not a review list for investments, especially for investors for accredited investments. It's typically a lot. You don't find those on Amazon. You know?
Yep. True. Yeah, I think I don't know exactly, but can I ask you questions about the business?
Yeah.
So are you in personal financial type role?
Most
Roughly? Okay. So you absolutely can get Yelp reviews on that today. So that is good news. Yelp and Google can tell you for different financial advisors what people think and what they like and what they don't like. And then you can build your messaging around the, you know, avoiding those pitfalls.
Yeah.
You know, avoiding what people don't like and things of that nature.
I guess I've never looked it up, but I mean, I guess just Jones, Google and whatnot, so they probably would have Yelp reviews as well. I guess I haven't looked into that, so I'll definitely check that out myself.
And you might want to look at private ones that aren't connected to Edward Jones. I mean, they're the largest, and they have a really prescribed market that they go after, and they can't be any bigger than this and have clients and this and that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I mean, there are, I can tell you 5 right off the top of my head that are private, kind of, and maybe you'd want to go that route, look what they do, because you'd be more like them versus an Edward Jones, I would think.
No, I mean, Edward Jones definitely has a lot more than what I offer, but I mean, that's just, a name brand that pops off the head.
Yeah.
For sure. My biggest, I guess, thing that I run into, my biggest objection is the fact that I'm younger and what do I know about finance? Even though they don't realize, I mean, and I can explain this a little bit, but I mean, I've been working in the finance field for about 8 years, but for someone, maybe they want someone who's worked in there for 15, 20 years. And that's kind of overcome.
That just tells me they're not your client at the moment. And you should be okay with it.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for you to clarify who is your client and go after them. There's a lot of
You're back.
There's a lot of young people on social media who are looking for assistance, looking for guidance, and they'll probably better relate to somebody like yourself versus an old know-it-all who's just going to try to tell them what's up. And so while you may want to reach out to somebody who's more well established, it's a way for you to understand, I don't need to waste my time cold calling and going after somebody like that at the moment, until maybe you set a foundation of years or portfolio or anything like that. But I was going to say that people, no matter what industry, no matter what we're doing, our clients are complaining somewhere, and it's our job to go find it. It's our job to go find the platform wherever they're complaining. And so while we're listing a few, I mean, we don't know them all, but that's part of being business. Go find out where they are complaining.
Yeah, that's a good idea. For the most part, kind of on the lead business route, but creating my own leads would be a good idea.
I think this is a little bit of a sidebar, but I think also developing your LinkedIn would be really good, and your Facebook and your Instagram kind of situations. And if you can come up with, Jordan's really, if you can come up with every day, provide value to that community in your category, which gets you, when they start thinking about or IRA advice or mutual fund selection or diversification or rebalancing or whatever it may be, it's natural that they would think of you because you never ask for anything. You're all providing value to the community. And if you cast your bread upon the waters, it will return to you. During my job search, I actually was posting every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And I had 2 CEOs reach out to me and offer me, not really like you can sign tomorrow job, but like offer to get me in the process for a job. 2 CEOs. And yeah, so what happens is I branded myself by posting value without requirement. I posted value without an ask. And so I started branding myself as sales leader, that is currently looking for a job but wants to provide value to the community. So I was posting a combination of job seeker tips and sales strategy and execution tips, and it got me literal jobs. So if you post, or if Patty posts about logistics, about planning and different types of topics about that, then who else would they go to when they have something, even in the orbit of that? Like even in the orbit of that, they'll at least assume she knows who to call. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so those types of forums where it's funny because it's you reap what you sow. Cast your bread upon the waters, you reap what you sow. Those kinds of things come into play because you're giving, and you're not trying to take, and yet you branded yourself with that. So anyway, that's one thing that I think Jordan and I probably both lean on a little bit for you.
Yeah, actually, the funny thing is, right before this meeting, I was talking with a developer about getting a website, because that's one thing I know. I feel like that's kind of a default for everybody nowadays. It's like a business card. And I have one, but that's one thing that I was kind of solidifying today. So this kind of is almost like a sign that I should be doing that.
And with your ministry online, very similar approach where, providing spiritual insights, providing encouragement, leaving that door open, like kind of, teeing yourself up in that way. I think very similar situation where when the Holy Spirit starts knocking, on their door and whispering, and of course he always is, but when they start to recognize it, you're top of mind, you know what I mean? So you can create a little bit of, instead of just a push evangelism by doing value-added postings, you actually create some pull evangelism over time, not in a week or two. But I think it does work in a variety of ways.
I agree with you. And also that you can put ads now you can put ads on Facebook, you can put ads on Instagram, and there's a way you could target audience that way as well, where once you find your niche, you could choose a group and like you said, like Jordan makes his videos, I don't know, daily, right, that, your product, if your product is you, right, you have to sell yourself. So if you are in the face of the camera or whatever it is, people start kind of falling in love with you. They start getting to know you and buying you. Then they want what you're selling. You know what I'm saying? That's been experience, is that, it's a lot of times sales is not really about what you're offering. It's about connecting with people and paying attention to them as a human. And if you're just being friendly, you can sell anything if you're just friendly to people, because they want to be noticed, they want to be recognized, they want to be heard. And it's just this simple little friendly thing that you can provide to someone. But I really like the ads that they have on Facebook and Instagram, and you can put them on there as many times as you want. Obviously you're going to need some sort of advertising budget or whatever you choose to spend, but it's really beneficial on Facebook. At least I have run into a snag on Instagram, but Facebook has been good for ads.
That's good. Interesting. Yeah, never really tied these two together before, but in a way, those ads are another way of listening, another source of listening and getting feedback and things of that nature. That's great. I love that. The other one I think we'd be remiss to cover if we didn't cover this, but just meditation, asking the Lord, what am I missing? Tonight, I don't know if I'm trying to remember if I even talked to him in the kitchen or if he just interrupted me. I can't remember. But there's been times when he'll just interrupt me, but asking questions and expecting an answer. You have to demand an answer, actually. In fact, check this out. If you think you can ask him a question, and do not get an answer, it's not correct. You're getting an answer. It just may be a matter of time, or he's going to tee up a conversation for you. You're going to run into something online, or he's going to lead you through your steps. You got an answer, or it's being formulated, right? So have security that if you ask for wisdom, that your Father will give you wisdom. There's numerous scriptures about this. One of them in Isaiah talks about, should not a people inquire of their God? He literally is craving that. So ask and expect, and be a little bit receptive to, it's maybe not just an angel with a checkbook or, a sword, flaming in your living room. It may be something pretty subtle. Remember when Elijah was in the cave and it was like, God was not in the storm. He was not in, the rocks were breaking and all this. It's like a still small voice. You had to really listen to it. So we have to sometimes be a little bit, it's almost like, God, I assume you answered me and I'm struggling to hear. So I just trust that you'll break through my, situation so I can understand. And I just trust you with that. And I don't believe you're going to let me down. And just be insistent like that. Just be demanding, not in some kind of a not nice way, but just be that pushy son or daughter for sure. So I'm just going to add in here just prayer and meditation. Do we have anything on Facebook right now? Jordan, do we have anybody watching on Facebook right now?
We have people popping in. I don't have any questions yet.
Kind of in and out. Okay, cool. Well, if you're on Facebook, just so Jordan, is it correct if I say they can ask a question? They can put it in chat or something?
Yep. Dude,
okay.
As soon as somebody asks, I'm gonna bring it to the table.
Okay, good. So y'all just make sure you can answer your questions. All right. And blow it like me. I'll give you two more. And I'm sorry, I thought I was done, but the other one is you can ask for investors, right? Because let me tell you right now, you go ask an investor for 125K, guess what? They will be brutally honest with you, sometimes even rude. And you better thank the Lord they were, because an investor who has to put their own money on the line, who's been there, done that, to tell you no, or to tell you no, but if you did this, then you know what I mean? That's like pure gold. Even if you don't need the 100K, just getting the feedback.
Kind of like those people who go on Shark Tank for
Totally that.
publicity. Yeah.
100% that. Yep. I mean, your mom loves you, right? She's just gonna tell you you're awesome. And mom's great, and we need that sometimes. And your dad, like, oh, you can do anything. True, but does my idea suck? Like, they don't know. They just love you. So, yeah, get some investors or try, whatever. You don't have to accept their investment. You don't have to accept it. I mean, I'm not saying waste their time either. I mean, you should hopefully be willing to take an investment if you're going to really go waste their hour.
It's like
yeah,
half my
I think those are.
business.
Yeah. What else did we miss, y'all? How about sell 5 of it? Can you sell 5? So my business idea right now, which is getting no attention because my job's insane. But I have this job coaching, job search advice content. I developed like 9 modules, 150 slides. I spent an insane amount of time on it. And it's every technique that I've seen or that I've used in 2 job searches. And I've probably hired over 50 people. So I definitely have category expertise on this. So I created like this curriculum. And my idea is to sell it to universities for students that are exiting college who have a degree but may not have the skills to go find work, right? So my daughter goes to OU. That's her conversation. LinkedIn. The only thing I'm doing right now is a minute ago, and if you guys go follow me, you'll know to do this, is I post probably every other day about job seeker advice. So I'm branding the heck out of myself. And I'm also having a call week with a candidate who just free advice. And then what I'm doing with that is I am sharpening myself, keeping my content relevant, in the field, people, and a lot more, than that. So I am kind of working on it, but I had a chance to do this development yet. My other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to sell it with Facebook ads. So Randy, to your point, I am going to run Facebook and Instagram ads and see, and I'm going to follow my own advice. Can I sell 5 copies for $10? I don't care. I hope I lose money. I don't even care. But does it resonate? Is my run 10 versions of the ad so I can kind of eliminate the fact that it's not my ad copy that's turning them off. Is there an audience? Like when you're, I can tell you right now, when I was out of work, if my youngest daughter saw content on Instagram about this Oscar pro, practices, and she would spend $10 for me for sure. So it's not just about the needy job seekers that don't have money right now. It's all about their loved ones and others. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to follow my own advice. Can I sell 5? So the question to Leslie is, right? Can I sell 20? Or can I even sell 5? And maybe it's $5 a piece and it's just a test, sell them to just validate that it's sold would be really great. Scary, but it's going to work. I actually have a good feeling about it.
Well, and also I see people selling like, how you're saying like you give tips, you're the expert in your field, and maybe you're going on every day and you're giving these tips. I've actually seen people sell that as like a course or even, a download. They will charge people for their expert knowledge. Maybe it's just, 10 questions or whatever it is, 10 answers or whatnot. And people are selling their own knowledge, put tips and selling it for, $5, $10, whatever dollar amount it is, or if it's a course, putting these tips and selling them as a course.
Amen.
So it's your knowledge that you spent years to accumulate, and it's not valueless, it's valuable.
Amen.
So definitely another avenue.
Yeah, it's
Love
like
it.
whenever people like doctor appointment and they spend 15 minutes talking to the equipment issue, thinking that's ridiculous amount of money to charge, but it's the 8, 10. I mean, that knowledge and time has value. So some people don't realize the value.
Right.
Great. It's great. Thank you very much. It's interesting because Jordan's dad does this. It's similar to what you both are saying. He has all this knowledge about the educational sector and getting into college and different, I know it's more than that, Jordan, but I'm not close to it. But that's the category. And he has a living based on that knowledge, exactly like y'all are saying.
I just sent you someone else that does that, Brian. She has, she part of the time is in Flower Mound, and then part of the time, I think she's in North Carolina. But her name is Kristen Clark, and she just knows a lot of people. Great person to speak with. She might be somebody
thanks.
you'd want to connect with because
Love it.
I think you guys would have some synergies.
Thank you. There we go. Yeah, that's great. I will give her a call for sure. Thank you. Let me write this down. Can I mention your name?
Chat too.
Yeah. Can I mention your name?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she'll love it that I talked about her.
That's great.
She's
Thank
a
you.
really, really nice person.
Love it. Well, that's my favorite thing. Nice people, for sure. It's a big deal. It's like y'all were saying earlier. We absolutely, prefer to work with people who are nice. I think we are unfortunately kind of out of time, so we have to move into ministry right now. But yeah, great stuff. We can definitely save this. I will send this to y'all. I promise. I'll just not get out from this desk before I do it. I'll just send it all. I'll probably send it to the entire Gateway group, actually, just to be easier. There's nothing private on here, so this is all good stuff. And I will, the way this works with the prayer time, by the way, is everybody has an opportunity to share their prayer requests.
Analysis, we talked about pains and addressing those pains and really focusing on those, cataloging those as being a metric to really focus in on. The social media, again, we just talked about a metric on how you can utilize that really to the maximum.